Somewhere in Paris, there's a 77-year-old woman who has spent 2 decades doing the exact opposite of what style experts say women over 60 should do. And she looks more remarkable now than ever. Linda Wright doesn't tone it down, doesn't play it safe, and doesn't reach for neutrals just because someone told her to. She gravitates toward bold, saturated color, rich, unexpected texture, and pieces that conventional wisdom says she has no business wearing. And it doesn't just work. It works so well that women in the fashion industry decades younger study every outfit she puts together. She's not trying to look younger or disappear gracefully. She's dressing like someone who decided long ago she would never stop being herself. Today, I'm walking you through 7 style lessons from Linda Wright that go against nearly everything women over 60 are told about getting dressed. And number 5 might genuinely surprise you. It contradicts what most stylists recommend, but once you understand it, you'll never see your wardrobe the same way. Hey everyone, welcome back. If you're new here, I'm Parker Holloway, and today we're diving into the style philosophy of a woman who has basically written her own rulebook from scratch. Linda Wright is the founder of Crimson Cashmere in Paris, and the way she dresses is living proof that the best style decisions come from ignoring the advice everyone else follows. So let's jump right in. Number 1. She makes bold color her foundation, not her exception. Here's what women over 60 hear constantly. Keep it neutral, stay in the safe zone. Navy and black are your best friends. Linda Wright has clearly never received that memo. She wraps herself in saturated color like it's essential. Intense reds, striking blues, deep emerald greens, and she commits fully, often wearing a single bold shade head to toe. Here's what matters though. It's not that color is risky after 60, it's that the wrong color can wash you out. And those are 2 very different problems. What Linda has figured out is that once you identify your best shades, the ones that bring warmth to your complexion and light to your face, wearing them with full commitment is actually the most flattering choice available. Most women pull back on color because they've absorbed the message that they should. Linda goes all in because she's learned it works. What I find refreshing about this is that it reframes the entire question. It's not should you wear bold color at this age, it's which bold colors bring out the best in you, and are you brave enough to wear them with conviction? And if you're wondering how she keeps all that color from tipping into chaos, hold that thought for number 3, because her method is beautifully specific. Number 2, she invests in texture rather than chasing trends. This is the kind of lesson that sounds simple but shifts everything about how you approach your wardrobe. Linda isn't interested in whatever silhouette is having a moment this season. She's not scanning magazines for the latest must-have piece. Instead, she builds her look around how things feel and move. Luxurious cashmere, substantial knits, fabrics with real body and beautiful drape. And honestly, this might be one of the wisest style moves I've come across. Trends rotate every few months, and what felt current in spring feels dated by autumn. But a piece with incredible texture, a structured cashmere wrap, a knit scarf with real weight, a silk shirt that catches the light, those stay relevant indefinitely because their appeal comes from quality, not a trend cycle. Most women pour energy into staying current. Linda pours energy into finding pieces that feel remarkable on her body and look remarkable to everyone around her. It's an entirely different strategy with an entirely different outcome. What strikes me most is how much freedom this creates. You stop worrying about keeping up and start focusing on what genuinely looks and feels extraordinary on you. That's a much better use of your time and your money. Number 3, she uses layering as a creative tool, not a weather response. This is where Linda's style philosophy really stands apart. She doesn't pile on layers because the temperature demands it. She layers because each additional piece introduces something new, more depth, more dimension, more interest than any single garment could offer alone. She might pair a slim turtleneck with an easy-fitting blazer and a flowing scarf. One layer contributes color, another brings texture, a third creates movement and line. Most women think of layering as accumulation, shirt, then sweater, then jacket, and the result often feels heavy. Linda thinks of layering as composition. Every piece earns its place. What resonates with me here is the idea that layering is a form of styling in itself. When you start thinking about what each layer contributes visually rather than just throwing something on top, your outfits immediately look more considered. For anyone who usually grabs the nearest jacket on the way out, this might be the insight that transforms your getting ready process. Now, everything we've covered so far, embracing bold color, prioritizing texture, using layering creatively, those are principles any woman could arrive at with enough attention. But what comes next is different. Lessons 4 through 7 come from Linda spending decades refining her own instincts, and honestly, these were the ones that caught me off guard most when I really paid attention to how she constructs her look. Number 4, she refuses to engage with the concept of age-appropriate dressing. This might be the single most freeing choice Linda Wright makes. She never stops to wonder whether something is suitable for her age. The only question she asks is whether it feels like her. And that shift changes everything. The entire framework of age-appropriate style rests on the assumption that past a certain milestone, you should start eliminating things from your wardrobe. Bolder accessories go first, then statement pieces, then anything that might attract attention. Linda simply opts out of that conversation. She wears whatever speaks to her personal aesthetic, whether a stylist or a magazine or someone close to her might suggest it's a bit much for 77. And she looks stunning. Not because she's fighting against her age. That reading misses what's happening entirely. She looks stunning because she's fully inhabiting who she is. I think this lesson requires more bravery than any of the others, because somewhere along the way, most of us absorbed a quiet voice that whispers, maybe dial it back. Maybe that's too much for someone your age. Linda Wright is walking evidence that that voice has it wrong. There's no age limit on dressing like yourself, and doing exactly that is the most appropriate thing a woman of any age can do. Number 5, she returns to what works without a trace of apology. All right, this is the lesson I mentioned at the top, and it genuinely reshaped how I think about my own closet. Linda Wright has zero interest in reinventing herself each season. When she discovers something that works, a silhouette, a color pairing, a certain type of garment, she goes back to it over and over. Most style advice tells you to mix things up and stay unpredictable. Linda's answer is essentially, I'm not interested. She's developed what you might call a personal uniform. Not monotonous, not stale, but deeply confident. She knows her pieces and feels no need to justify wearing them repeatedly. And here's why that matters. So many women feel invisible pressure to constantly demonstrate they're still in the game. A fresh look for every occasion, something new every time someone sees you. But the women with the most remarkable style, and Linda belongs in that category, have realized that going back to what works isn't a lack of imagination. It's clarity. It's understanding what belongs to you so completely that it becomes unmistakably yours. Before I studied her, this had never occurred to me. I used to feel embarrassed reaching for the same favorites. Now I understand that's the entire idea. You discover what makes you feel extraordinary and build around it. That's not giving up. That's arriving at style's highest form. And if you stick with me through number 7, you'll see how owning your signature connects to something much more profound about the impression you leave on people. Number 6, she relies on proportion as her secret weapon. Linda has an incredibly precise instinct for proportion, and it's one of the main reasons her outfits look so naturally pulled together. She plays volume against structure with real intention. When something is generous and relaxed up top, she keeps things fitted below. When a scarf adds drama, the layer underneath stays architectural and sharp. She never allows everything to billow at once and never lets everything cling. Most style guidance treats this as obvious, just balance your proportions. But watching Linda, you see it's far more deliberate than that simple advice suggests. She's making careful decisions about where attention falls and considering the overall shape her outfit creates as one complete silhouette, rather than evaluating pieces in isolation. For any of you who have put together an outfit that seemed perfect in your imagination but looked off in the mirror, proportion is nearly always the missing element. It's rarely the garments themselves. It's the conversation between them. Start paying attention to where volume lives in your outfits, and the transformation will be almost immediate. Number 7. She gets dressed as a declaration of who she is, not as decoration. This is the lesson that sits beneath every other lesson, and honestly, it's the real reason Linda Wright's style leaves such a lasting impression, far beyond the clothes themselves. Linda doesn't approach her wardrobe as ornamentation, she approaches it as self-expression. Every bold color, every textured layer, every carefully placed scarf, it's all communicating something about the woman inside the clothes, not performing for the people outside them. And that distinction is everything, because it separates women who merely look polished from women who genuinely feel powerful in what they're wearing. You can sense it the moment she enters a space. There's no adjustment, no hesitation, no quiet wondering if she got it right. She steps into the world looking exactly like herself, and that total ease is the most captivating thing about her. For women over 50, really for every one of us, this is the truth buried inside all 7 lessons. Choosing what you wear each morning isn't frivolous or shallow. It's one of the first acts of your day, and it shapes how you carry yourself through every hour that follows. When you dress with real intention, when you reach for pieces that feel authentically yours, rather than like armor or disguise, something shifts. Your posture opens up. Your eye contact comes naturally. You move through a room as though you have every right to be there. Linda, at 77, doesn't enter a room looking for approval. She enters already settled into who she is. And that unwavering calm is what stays with people long after she's gone. It's never about the clothes. It's about the woman wearing them, and every single one of you has access to that feeling. That woman who steps into a room anywhere in Paris and everything just quiets, not because of a designer label or a perfectly timed trend, but because her entire presence says, "I already know who I am." That doesn't happen by chance. That's the result of choosing herself deliberately every morning for decades. So here's what I want you to think about. What would you reach for tomorrow if the only rule was that it had to feel completely like you? And how long has it been since you actually wore that piece? Now, next week, I've got someone whose philosophy couldn't be more different from Linda's. Far less color, much more minimalism, a totally different visual language, but the self-assurance at the center is identical. Trust me, you'll want to see that one. All right, everyone, that is all I have for 7 style lessons from Linda Wright. I hope you found this video helpful and maybe even a little inspiring. If you did, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. I'd love to know in the comments which of Linda's 7 lessons resonated with you most, and which one do you think you'll experiment with first? Be sure to follow me on Instagram at Parker Holloway Style. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.